The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the producer and those appearing in this show and do not necessarily represent the views of DerryCAM, the town of Derry, or any of its staff or affiliates.
Hi, I'm Anthony Henry. Welcome back to America's Ass. We are on episode 29, almost done season 3. Really excited. So anyway, we are here with Representative Richard Tripp. So please take a minute to tell the audience about yourself.
Oh, well, can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Why do you call this America's Ass?
So it's an interesting story. I was having lunch with my friend and his girlfriend, and does not like my views, and she called me that. And at the time I was developing this show, and I was like, that'd be a good name. And then a couple of people that are in the control room, my editors, they also caught on to it. They started saying it a lot as a joke. So it became the name of the show. So that's how that came about.
Well, I'm very happy to be part of America's Ass, because it seems that some people are just a little too sensitive nowadays. But anyhow, my name is Richard Tripp. I've lived in Derry for almost 30 years. I've been on the planning board. I've been on the Conservation Commission. I've been on Net Zero. I've been on, I'm on the zoning board now. Oh, and I was on the town council for 6 years. So I'm curious about how the town runs, and I've learned a lot. So one of these days I might even run for school board.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. We're going to jump right into it. We'll start briefly with Israel. We've touched on this show. We have touched on Israel quite a bit, but I still like to touch on it a little every time, just because it's the biggest news story in the world. So, Richard, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I find it interesting that the college students in America believe that the Israelis are the bad people. I don't understand how raping women, torturing people, and murdering them is not a crime, and how the Israelis, are not justified in trying to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, there was that story in Vermont from recently about those 3 college students that got shot because they were Palestinian. That was a big story. One of them was at Brown University, had his whole life ahead of him. Now he's paralyzed. None of them were killed, but they were all shot.
Well, once again, that's an interesting story, in that the assumption is that I don't want to say victims, but the people that were shot were not agitating what was, prior to being shot. I find it hard to believe that somebody just walking down the street decided that they deserved being shot. There's times when I won't say that people are justified in shooting people, but it would seem that the alleged victims have done something to instigate it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We saw it with the Black Lives Matter riots with George Floyd. That's a big example of that happening.
I don't have a TV, so I don't.
You didn't see
get a lot. Get
that happen.
Get a lot of the news, So you have to excuse me when you ask me questions about what is a hot topic on.
So in 2020, he was killed by a police officer, and it was a big thing about police brutality and all that. So that's what happened with that. And then the whole Black Lives Matter stuff ensued that summer, 2020.
Well, I suspect that the Black Lives Matter stuff started in St. Louis with I can't remember the kid's name.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
I know what story you're talking about.
It was it wound a lot of people up. When Floyd was killed in, you said Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
So it's one of these things where it was not new, it was just exacerbated.
Yeah. Yeah, it was used as a pawn for the news, pawn for certain politicians. They use the news to their advantage. And most people that don't watch the news often end up smarter. So you're in the clear. But anyway, moving on to, I guess we'll go down, State House. We had a very eventful year at the State House, and we're going to have a ton of LSRs for next year. So
Well, I heard we got about 900 already.
900 already.
Yeah, and I serve on the Judiciary Committee. I think we had about 40 this year, so we'll probably get about 40 again. It's an interesting range of topics that we had. We would usually have, well, for abortion, we probably had about 6 abortion bills, 3 on pro-abortion side and 3 on the anti-abortion side. And I don't know why they write these bills. Because, some people are afraid that there's going to be more abortion, and other people are afraid there's going to be less abortion. And I talk with people, and they go, well, you can't get an abortion in New Hampshire. And I go, really? I don't believe that's the way it is. And they go, well, it's after 5 weeks you can't get an abortion. I go, no, I believe it's 24 weeks. And well, you can't get an abortion if it's there's problems with the child or whatever. And I go, well, I believe there's exemptions for that. Well, that's not what I heard. And I go, well, perhaps if you're this interested in it, what I can do is I'll get you a copy of the existing law, and we can sit down and read it. Oh, I'm not interested in that. I go, well, okay. Believe what you want to believe.
I think that's a big problem with laws, and I think it's a big problem with news stories as well. People see the headline, and they jump to their own conclusions, and they don't read what actually happened. It's the same with a lot of these bills.
Yeah.
For example, there was that controversial thing that happened in Florida with what people thought was called the Don't Say Gay bill, and it was actually a bill not banning that word. It was banning sexual content for K through 4, I believe. And people just assumed that they were banning the word gay in all schools. That's not what happened at all.
Well, I believe that happens more often than not.
Yeah.
By people trying to mislead other people about the contents of bills or whatever. Because people, they don't have the interest to read the bills or to listen to both sides. So they, and they're predisposed. They have unconscious bias. That's one of those things that works both ways. Left-handed bias, right-handed bias.
Yeah.
But, I, being left-handed, I don't see my left-handed bias.
So that's an interesting way to put it. So I agree. Like you said, there's bias everywhere, bias in all media, bias in all bills. So regarding the bills in judiciary, what were some of the interesting ones that you had besides abortion?
Well, like I said, there were the abortion bills. We had a number of landlord-tenant bills, and it was, now, I use the word interesting a lot because I find things interesting. We had bills that came in, and they were trying to give the tenants rights in one way or another. And as always, as sometimes happen, the rights they were asking for were, actually removing the rights of the landlords, to where the tenants had more rights than the landlords did, and the landlords own the property. The landlords have the right to select the people that they're going to rent properties to, and they. So, like I said, we had several of those, and there were other bills that were intended to give certain rights to the tenants, which I thought were reasonable, in that one of the bills that we had was people, supposedly landlords, they charge the fees to do background checks and other things, and apparently there are people, imagine that scam potential tenants. People, they see an ad for a apartment online on Craigslist or something, and they send somebody money, and when they find out that the person they sent the money doesn't actually own an apartment and has scammed them out of the fees, they figure that they should be given an opportunity to get those fees back. Well, it's one of those things that, people have responsibilities when they're purchasing things or going to rent apartments and stuff, that they should do some investigation to make sure that the people actually have, the apartments before you send them money. It's kind of like the prince in Nairobi that says, if you send me $1,000, I'll send you $1 million. That's a great idea. Is he actually a prince, and does he actually have $1 million? So it's one of these things. You cannot protect people, from their own ignorance.
Yeah, everything you said made sense. I agree. What are your thoughts on the Parents' Bill of Rights bill that failed in the House this past year?
Well, that's sad, because one of the problems that we have, in the country is that the people want to take care of us, and that includes making sure that they know how to raise your children. It's one of these things that parents have rights. I don't believe that the schools have all the rights that they're getting or they're trying to take. This social emotional learning practice that is being pushed in the schools. It's one of these things where I know that our superintendent in Derry, he's often says, well, it's important that the children be happy, and I sit and think, well, why is them being happy all the time good for them? I've often thought that a little adversity is good for people.
Yeah.
Because it thickens your skin up and teaches you, that life's not, paradise. And I rather than teaching social emotional learning, I would be more interested in the schools making sure that the bullying isn't going on.
Yeah.
You know?
And I agree. I think this segues into our next topic, the Derry School Board. We have covered the restructuring and school closure, possibly school opening plan that the Derry School Board has been pushing. Last week, we had a controversial public meeting in which a member of the school board jumped out from his seat, supposedly, from the looks of it, to attack someone in the audience because an audience member gave him the middle finger. So he did apologize at last night's meeting, saying he wanted to have a discussion with that person. You can go watch the video, see if that's what it looked like to you. But still, I found that public forum very interesting from last week. I didn't see one person rise in favor of what the Derry School Board was presenting that night. And you can go back, I think they posted it on Vimeo. They didn't post it on what they usually do. I think they want less people to see it. But I found it interesting. No one was, like I said, no one was in favor of what they were doing. A lot of people got up and spoke opposed to what they were doing, Richard being one of them. And what are your thoughts on that forum, and what are your thoughts on last night's meeting?
Well, one of the problems with the school board is, well, they allow public forum. You know, previously, it was the topics that you were allowed to discuss were very limited. And of course, the school board is always saying, well, tell us what you think, tell us what you think. And, you know, in the previous years, you'd get up and you'd say, well, I want to talk about this. Oh, sorry, that's not on the agenda. We're not talking about that. Well, I'd like to give you my thoughts. Well, it seems that they're not really interested in your thoughts, you know, which was why I thought the listening session that they had. Ironic name. on the, well, that's I call it a listening section. They called it a public forum. You know, and it really wasn't that much of a public forum because of the hour or so that the meeting took. On the 6th, 45 minutes were taken up with their sales pitch on the new school. You know, but after they got done with their sales pitch, you know, the first 45 minutes, we were able to get up and ask some questions. That was, I thought, good because what you could ask questions about was pretty much open. And there was a lot of people got up and spoke. Well, not spoke, but asked questions. As you said, I got up and asked questions because as a state rep and a former town councilor, I'm interested in the financial side of things because the taxes are high and they're bound to get higher if we do get a new school. And the rationale that the board has been presenting is, well, the schools have been, they're not in the best of shape because we've been deferring maintenance. And of course, the administrative side of the schools, they talk about, well, the schools are old and they're not really built for the new age education that we want to do. You know, and so we want to build a new school. You know, because 2 of the schools are old and the roofs leak, and you know you can't play basketball in the gym because there's buckets collecting water and stuff like that. And I just you know, I don't understand why the schools haven't been maintained.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a reason. But the rationale for not repairing the schools is a little sketchy. You know, like I said, all the schools need repairs. I think that right now the school board has wants to put 2 warrants on the ballot next year. One would be $70-some million to build a new school, and the other would be $30-some million to repair 5 of the old schools, because 2 of the old schools are going to get tore down to build a new school. And it's one of these things that during the November 6th meeting, they finally differentiated between what repairing a school is and renovating a school is. Now, the repairs would be just to, fix the roofs and stuff. Whereas, and that would only cost $30 million.
Yeah.
Now, to renovate the schools, that would be approximately, I think it was $120 million. And what that would do is that would bring all the schools up to the new age education.
What is a new age education?
I don't know.
Exactly. They haven't presented they haven't presented many reasons for what they want to do besides that it's old. I think personally that a lot of this is just a passion project from the administration and the school board. They want to kind of make their mark on the town. It's my theory.
Well, I'm not
One of
going to
them.
say that they don't have good intentions for teaching the children, how to live in an evolving world. But I don't understand what the new age teaching is going to be, because they keep talking about, well, the children, they have their own interests. They'll teach themselves. I think, well, what do we need teachers for if the children are teaching themselves? Because this is a little like the charter schools.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're thinking that the charter schools is a good idea or whatever. But I think that they need to be, like you said, they need to explain a little bit better about, what this new age education is going to be. It's one of these things that, in my mind, the first 3 years where you're being taught basically how to read, write, and do arithmetic, I don't see how that's going to change. Because if you're going to be able to teach yourself, you're going to have to be able to read. You're going to have to be able to write to communicate your thoughts to other people. And, basic arithmetic is what's necessary for you to, learn anything beyond that. So I look forward to the next couple school board meetings, because now that we can talk about anything we want, I might be asking, some new questions.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the school board changed those rules regarding public forum. I think it's allowing much more people to speak about more things, and I think they're getting more pushback now that people can push back and they're not being forced. So, but anyway, it's getting a little repetitive with the school board. They're doing the same old stuff every time. I'm getting tired of it. We just need real change. We need people to run. So if you know anyone that can run for Derry School Board, tell them to run. So, all right. I'm Anthony Henry. This has been America's Ass. Thank you for watching.